Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. Today we are looking at Kiss, the Army of Darkness. This is a crossover between Kiss and the Army of Darkness. Written by Chad Bowers and Chris Sims with art by Rarari Coleman. Sorry if I butchered that one. Colors by Timothy C. Brown. Letters by Troy Patari. Editor Kevin Kettner. Okay, so this is the first part of a mini-series. I believe it's a 6-parter. And you know what? I expected this to be horribly awful. I'd read some of the Army of Darkness books back when they first started coming out. I think they were put out by Devil's Due. And they were stupid. Like, incredibly stupid, horribly drawn, etc. This is another story. So we open up at the Michigan Pontiac Silverdome in 1979, and that'll bring some flashbacks. I don't think that's there anymore. And we've got Ace, Peter, Gene, Paul having a concert, and it's pretty cool. They're rocking out the show, and there's some cultists there. Because, of course, they were given the power of the Destroyer. Now, I don't know a whole lot about how they've built up the Kiss mythology in comics in the last several years. I know there have been Kiss comics, but I haven't really been paying attention. I do remember Kiss Meet the Phantom of the Park back in the 80s. I have that on VHS, and wow, they had these special gemstones that gave them superpowers. And if you haven't seen that, find it. It's outstanding. Outstandingly bad. It was a TV movie. Anyway, so apparently they've been given some sort of super demonic powers, which kind of fits with the hype in the 70s and 80s that they got, where they were said to be knights in Satan's service or whatever, and they called their fans the Kiss Army, which is referenced in here. The writers obviously had some idea of Kiss's history. So this lady comes running up to the entrance and starts complaining, saying, "Hey, let me in, let me in." Nope, show's sold out, has been for weeks. Well, by the time things get sorted, she's not on the screen anymore, as it were, and Kiss is exiting the stage. And when Kiss exits the stage, there are a bunch of cultists standing around, ready to deal some damage. Well, they don't really have a chance because Kiss has superpowers or super demon powers or something. Gene Simmons has wings. One guy could shoot lasers or whatever. Okay, it's a little silly. But then they start fighting with these cultists, and these cultists aren't getting very far, but they have an advantage in that they have the Necronomicon. So, of course, the head cultist leader guy recites the 3 words and sends them to oblivion. And the lady who had made it into the concert by now is like, "Oh no, I'm too late." 2 years later, fast forward a little bit, and we have Ash Williams, legendary Deadite hunter, sitting in a hospital room looking at his stump of a hand. Now, he has lost his hand, but not in the way that we all remember from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. No. So this lady comes up to him and starts saying, "Hey, look, I'm here to tell you the truth about what happened, about what's supposed to have happened. The timeline's all wrong." And, he's like, whatever. She brings up Kiss and tells him that Kiss was abducted by these cultists, and Ash had tickets to see a concert with them, but they disappeared after the thing at the Silverdome. So she goes on to explain that they were supernatural warriors, granted nearly unlimited power by an eldritch force called the Destroyer. But they channeled their powers into music, despite their mission being originally to usher in what she calls Hell on Earth. They were strengthening the barrier between the worlds. The source of power being used was from the Necronomicon. And she's like, "Didn't you know what the Necronomicon is?" He's like, "Yeah, my nerdy cousin Ted tried to talk me into playing dragons and dingbats back in college. Thought this Necronomicon stuff was stupid back then, too." So he kind of dismisses her, and she says, "Look, you think that you lost your hand by accident?" And he says, "Wait, you're telling me the universe wanted me to lose my hand?" And there's a really actually funny joke in here describing how he loses his hand. And he's like, "Yeah, that tracks." And she shows him the drawings in an old book where how he had met Spinach Chin before, the wise man in King Arthur's court, which I suppose was probably supposed to be Merlin. And we get a couple of scenes from Army of Darkness. And she provides him with a metal hand that was 700 years old, the one from Army of Darkness. And he's like, "You made me a hand?" And she said, "No, you made it 700 years ago." But then the cultists show up, and they use some mystic force to grab the chick. Dude smacks Ash with the Necronomicon, and it starts to make him feel funny. He's starting to remember. The Necronomicon talks to the guy, and the cultist guy, and tells him to get rid of him. So he sends Ash through a vortex, and we get a little bit of a repeat from... There's a lot of homages in here from the trilogy movies. Ash is cast away. The girl tells him to find Kiss, and he arrives back in time, back at the castle, but he's too late, and we could see a zombified Henry and some zombified guys behind him, and Spinach Chin tells him that he's a few years too late. So that's where the issue ends, and I have to say the art was okay. It wasn't spectacular, but I've seen a lot worse. It was okay. It was a little stylistic at times, like there's some issues with the way the proportions are drawn that I have, but overall it gets the job done. The story was actually a lot of fun. It was way better than I expected. Leaps and bounds better. I'd give this one a recommend, especially if you're a fan of Army of Darkness and Kiss. It was a good time. There's a decent story being built up here. We get a little bit of everything, and if you've seen the Army of Darkness movies, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, Ash versus the Army of Darkness TV series, any of that, you'll probably dig it. It was a fun story, so I recommend this one. I thought it was fun. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel, and we hope to see you on the next episode.